You know that feeling when you're being tossed around by the storms of life, pulled in every direction by things that are just completely out of your control? Well, today we're going to dive into a really powerful way to find a sense of stillness right in the middle of all that chaos. And we're going to do it through a simple story about quiet, unshakable strength. So, I want you to picture this: a wide, ancient oak tree. It's standing there at the edge of a field. It's seen, who knows how many seasons. It's weathered countless storms, and yet there it is, still standing. It's so much more than a tree, really. It's a symbol of this deep, grounded presence that, believe it or not, we can all find inside ourselves. And that's the thing. The life of this oak, with all of its challenges and its incredible resilience, it's a perfect mirror for our own lives. The world outside of us is always going to be moving, changing, chaotic, but that doesn't mean our inner world has to be. So let's begin with the oak itself. It's a living testament to what it really means to be steady, even when absolutely everything around you is in flux. And, of course, you can't talk about strength without talking about the storms that test it, right? These are those moments in our own lives when things just feel uncertain, shaky, and honestly, just really loud. At the very heart of these storms is this fundamental truth of existence. In Buddhism, it's called anicca, or impermanence. And it's really just the simple and, kind of unavoidable fact that everything changes. Nothing lasts forever. Not our jobs, not our relationships, not our bodies, not even our feelings. They all show up, they shift, and eventually they pass away. And this idea totally reframes our struggles. We usually think that when things fall apart, something has gone terribly wrong. But what if it's not a problem we have to solve? What if it's just the natural rhythm of life? The healing isn't about frantically trying to fix what's broken. It's about letting there be enough room for all of it to happen. There's this incredible story that shows this so well, the story of Kisagami. After losing her child, she was desperate for a miracle. The Buddha told her he could help, but first, she had to bring him a mustard seed from a home that had never known death. So she went door to door to door. And while she found plenty of mustard seeds, every single family told her they had known loss. And in that search, her personal private grief became this shared universal truth. She realized she wasn't alone. And this leads us to another classic story. A farmer's horse runs away and all his neighbors say, "Oh, what terrible luck!" His only reply is, "Maybe." A week later, the horse comes back, and it brings a whole herd of wild horses with it. The neighbors are amazed. What incredible fortune! And the farmer just says, "Maybe." Then his son breaks his leg trying to tame one of the horses. "Bad luck," they say. "Maybe," says the farmer. Soon after, the army comes through, forcing all the able-bodied young men into a war they won't return from. The son, of course, is spared. The story just so perfectly shows our need to rush to a verdict, to label things good or bad way before we have any idea what the full picture looks like. These quick judgments are usually driven by what are called the 8 worldly winds. Think of them as these external forces that are constantly buffeting us. We're always being pushed towards pleasure, praise, fame, and gain, and we're desperately trying to run away from pain, criticism, disgrace, and loss. When our happiness is tied to these winds, we basically become slaves to the weather, which, as we know, is always changing and totally out of our control. Okay, so if the storms are inevitable, and these winds are always blowing, how in the world do we find our footing? Well, the secret, it turns out, lies hidden right below the surface. So let's go back to our ancient oak tree. How does it do it? How does it manage to stand tall through these fierce winds and all the changing seasons, year after year after year? What's its secret? Well, here's the thing. Its strength isn't in resisting the wind. The oak is flexible. You see its branches sway, its leaves tremble and dance in the storm. The real power is totally unseen. It's deep below the ground. It's in the roots, anchored firmly in the earth. This deep root of stability actually has a name: equanimity. And it's really important to know this isn't about being detached or numb or not caring. It's actually the opposite. It's the ability to be fully present with everything: the good, the bad, the pain, the joy, without getting swept away by any of it. It's the art of feeling the storm without becoming the storm. So think of it like this. The leaves fluttering in the wind, those are our fleeting emotions. The big branches swaying, those are the events of our lives. But our equanimity, that steady inner calm, that's in the roots. Okay, so this all sounds great, right? But how do we actually grow these roots? How do we build this inner anchor that can hold us steady no matter what's happening on the surface? Well, the very first step is a big one. We have to truly accept that we can't control the weather. Life is always going to bring storms. So the real work isn't out there trying to manage the world. The work is in here, cultivating our own inner ground. And here are 3 beautifully simple ways you can start doing that, like right now. First, just pause and feel your breath. Try letting the exhale be just a little bit longer than the inhale. That sends a signal of safety to your whole nervous system. Second, name what you're feeling. Not to judge it or fix it, but just to acknowledge it. Oh, okay, there's some anxiety here. That simple act creates a little space. And third, come back to your body. Feel the solid ground underneath your feet. Place a hand on your heart. This is your anchor, right here in the present moment. You know, so much of our suffering comes from demanding permanence from a world that is, by its very nature, impermanent. We want perfect health, the perfect job, perfect relationships, but we're basically asking for things the world simply can't promise. The real work is to shift our whole stance, from demanding to observing, and from fighting to letting go. And when we start to practice this, something really amazing happens. Our entire relationship with difficulty begins to shift. We learn not just how to survive the storms, but how to actually coexist with them. Because this is what real resilience looks like. It's not a life free of challenges. I mean, who has that? It's the deep-rooted capacity to meet those challenges with a steady heart and a clear mind. And here is where it gets really profound. It's one thing to just grit your teeth and tolerate uncertainty. It's a whole other level to learn how to inhabit it with a kind of fluency, to actually become comfortable in that space of not knowing, to find a sense of grace in the messiness of it all. This is captured perfectly in a famous Zen story. A man is hanging from a root over a cliff. Above him, there's a hungry tiger. Below him, a hungry snake. And to make matters worse, 2 little mice, one white for day, one black for night, are gnawing away at the very root he's clinging to. I mean, his situation is absolutely hopeless. But then, he sees a drop of honey on a leaf nearby. And in that moment, in the face of all of that, he simply reaches out and enjoys the sweetness. So let's circle back to our Chinese farmer for a second. That maybe of his, it wasn't just him waiting to see how things would turn out. It was the whole point. Staying in that unresolved middle, resisting that powerful urge to have a final verdict, that was the wisdom. For now, the not knowing is the answer. And so I'll just leave you with this question to carry with you. In your own life, in your work, in your relationships, in how you see yourself, where are you rushing to a conclusion? Where are you slapping a label of good or bad on something way too quickly? And what might open up for you if, just like the farmer, you could stay with the maybe just a little bit longer?